everyone. My name is Alex, and welcome back to Migoog Melt into Korea with us. How did you guys enjoy part 2? It was fun introducing and learning about the Korean holidays with our guests, right? Continuing our Migoog series, we will begin part 3, Human Library, showcasing historical people from around the world who have contributed to Korean history. For our very first episode, we will discuss Mary Scranton and Ewha School. We are lucky to have an actual graduate student from Ewha Women's University for our guest today, but not just any guest. Our very own operations coordinator, team member, Bushra. Welcome.
Hey, Alex.
Hi again.
How are you?
Doing
I'm
well.
asking you again, how are you? Like
Right.
last time.
From the epilogue.
Yes. Hi everyone. My name is Bushra. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too, Alex. It's been a while, right?
Right.
Yeah. And actually, this is really interesting because Yen started the episode with Andrew,
That's correct.
and I start the part with you.
We have a pattern going on, as
Right.
everyone can see.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So actually, I'm glad you're back. You are the second member from our team to be guessing on our series.
Yeah.
And this time, we just kind of did the introduction of our podcast, and I'm hoping we can do more talk in depth.
Right. I look forward for today's podcast.
Me as well.
Yeah.
And I know personally that you have many achievements from working with the government, being a special guest on other radio programs, so we have some experience. And not to mention speaking many languages and currently enrolled at Ewha Women's University. So even though I know all of these facts already, for our viewers and listeners, can you give us more of a short introduction about yourself, please?
Oh my God! This will take us a while, but I will be really short.
Okay.
So hi, my name is Bushra. This is my second time greeting you in Miko podcast. If you remember me, I appeared on the epilogue introducing part 3,
Right.
Human Library of the Miko series. I'm from Tunisia. I'm not sure if you are familiar with my country or not, but it's actually in the northern Africa. It's been 6 years since I came to Korea, 2015. I came here, I started to learn Korean, then I attended Hafs Hanguk University of Foreign Studies for 4 years. I majored in English, Korean translation and interpretation in conferences.
That's why you have so many good language skills.
Yeah. Yes.
Impressive.
And my minor was international studies, and then I graduated last year. And now I'm attending Ewha Women's University, Graduate School of Business, Global MBA. And this is my last semester. I'm
Already?
actually graduated next year, February. So this is my last semester.
I feel like time
basically.
flew, right? Of you being a
Yeah,
graduate student.
time really goes fast.
Well, I'm kind of glad we caught you in the middle of your semester before you graduated for this podcast. It's kind of good timing.
Yeah. And lastly, I'm in charge of few projects this year, and one of the projects is obviously this one, the
Right.
KF 공외교. And the Miko podcast is one of my projects, so I feel so excited to be working with you and work with
Yes.
everybody else.
Yeah, it's been a journey, right, working on this podcast,
Right.
and we still have many filmings
Right,
to
right,
do,
right,
so
right.
this is just the middle of it. And just to get to, I know you a good amount, but actually, probably some people are very curious about Tunisia, where you're from, your home country, as well as, what kind of brought you or inspired you, motivated you to, as a foreigner, Africa all the way to Asia, that is not very close, right? And honestly speaking, personally, I don't know too much about Africa or your home country. So it would be good to do maybe just a little bit introduction for our viewers about your country and also, again, why you came to Korea.
That's a good question. Thank you.
Yeah. We want to know.
Yeah,
We're
a lot of
curious.
people ask me why Korea, like why you came to Korea, or why you can't just go to France, to Germany, really closest place to Tunisia.
Right.
Yeah, I think I started to be really attached to Korean culture since I was in middle school. Well, I was 12 years old actually. I started to learn Hangul by myself. the first time.
wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
it was interesting. Interesting.
How did you get introduced to Hangul and Korean culture?
So like everyone started with, you know, K-drama and
okay.
K-pop,
Okay.
and at that time I remember that Koika also did a lot of events in Tunisia,
Promotions
right? A
and
lot
the
of promotional
culture.
activities, and I think I've been attending one of them, and I tried hanbok the first time, and I honestly speaking, I didn't know that was Korean culture. I thought it was Japanese the first time.
It can get confusing for
I
first
didn't
timers.
know. I didn't
Yeah.
know. And then I think after researching and everything, I just get to know like, okay, this is South Korea. This is not North Korea. This is South Korea.
Right.
This is Hangul. This is hanbok. I started to get to know every single thing.
Differentiate
Yeah,
the
right.
culture. Okay.
So it's since that time I started to learn Hangul by myself, learning by myself. And then maybe I just decided to go through a new journey, leaving my country and leaving my family, and and
That's
came
not
here.
easy to
Right.
do that. And how old were you at that time?
When I came to Korea the first time.
Sure, yeah.
I think I was 21 years old.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
So, you know, that kind of ambiguous age, young adult, not a child, but
Right.
not exactly full of, you know, at that age, we don't know what exactly we want to do yet, right?
It was clear to me because I
Mm.
have been through like a lot of ups and downs and a lot of like I think a lot about my life, my future, and what I want to do in my life. So maybe at that age, I already knew what I wanted to do.
You had a vision.
Right,
that
I
you-
already do. I do have a vision. This is
Okay.
why I left everything behind, and I
Right.
just, you know, I just came here. Yeah,
And
but
how about the journey of you going there, not just physically on a plane, so
Right.
forth, but you had your family, right?
Right.
And at that age, how did they feel about that?
honestly, probably my parents are like watching this right now, so don't be mad at
Hi,
me.
Bosher's mom.
Yeah, no one accepted the fact that I will leave my country and coming here.
So it was really difficult to
Convincing them
yeah.
was really hard, and also because the society itself, actually there are people who encourage you to go out abroad, and then there are people who don't really encourage you to go out,
and always someone against you,
and there
right?
is uncertainty about
Right.
the future and
Right.
about everything. And I think my parents, the first time, they didn't believe in me, and they assumed that me as a person, I have never even do a part-time job in my own country. How would I go to another country, a foreign country, and a new culture, a new language, a new people, not my people,
Right.
and then I had to start there from the beginning. That's
They were
something
concerned for you. They
really
were like, how are you
concerned.
going to survive? You know,
Right.
the main concern is
right.
you don't know the language. Like you said, you might not get even used to the food, right? It's very different.
Right. So it was really hard.
It was a struggle.
It was really hard. But at the end, I think they trusted me, and they trusted my own decisions to actually leave my comfort zone
Right.
and start the adventure and the journey.
So the success of being
Yeah.
able to be independent, right?
Right. That's
From-
what I wanted to do.
Exactly. And
yeah.
I love to listen to your story because other foreigners, other people that are interested in traveling, not just to Korea, but Korea specifically, or at that age, they don't know what they're doing, or they have a vision, they want to get out and they want to discover themselves. And you're a living proof of it, right? At a young age, you were able to do that with, it's never easy to do it, and everyone can relate to that. So I'm hoping others can get inspired, being able to take that chance, that risk, obviously being safe, that's
Right.
number one.
Right.
And when the timing is right, it will happen like fate, right? And you'll be able to find your kind of place in the
Right.
world. But it's not easy. And the timing is very hard.
Right.
So even though it gets difficult, there are success stories.
And it was rosy in my mind, like,
Mm.
oh, I will go to Korea and everything will be settled down. But it was
It's never that case, right?
It was really different when I came here. I was like, can I really do it? Like the first time I
right.
came to Korea, I kind of like doubted myself, kind of. But then I think I've met great people. I met like wonderful people who actually helped me throughout my journey.
That's amazing.
And it's great. It's
those
great.
relationships
Right.
probably are, you
Yeah.
cherish those a
Right.
lot, right?
Right.
Foreigners and Koreans
Right.
domestically. And Actually, that gets into our topic for today. I think this is a great introduction to Mary Scranton and her values in life. So first of all, I want to say I'm always, whenever I see Portia, I'm very impressed because I know her story, and up until now, she's been this operations manager for this whole project, but beyond that. So we can really, what we're going to learn today about Mary Scranton, we can use for life. Not just learn about the facts and the history of her achievements, but really understand her values and what she went through, which we can actually relate to now.
Right.
So for today's episode, I'm really excited to have you here, a Ewha Women's University graduate student. Actually, it's very related to our topic, and having this interesting discussion for today.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to be here and to talk about my experience at Ewha and the history of how Ewha became now one of the most prestigious schools in Korea.
And let's get started with the beginnings of Mary Scranton and who she is and why we should know about her.
Right. Mary Scranton was an American missionary who became the first female missionary in Korea. She is most notably famous for founding Ewha Hakdang, the first modern educational institution for females in Korea in 1886.
Wow. Okay, so education for women in Korea started with Mary Scranton.
Right, that's right.
So what was the inspiration to start education specifically for women?
Right. Some information on her background. She was born in Massachusetts, right? My pronunciation is right?
Massachusetts, perfect.
All right. Yeah, sometimes I have like a weird pronunciation.
Okay.
I hope you understand that. America growing up with a Methodist minister father. She then later married William Scranton and together had a son named William B. Scranton. Unfortunately, she lost her husband and decided to move to Ohio where her son lived. She became active in the Methodist Church and in the Women's Foreign Missionary Society. In 1884, the Women's Foreign Missionary Society asked Scranton to become the first female missionary in Korea.
Wow, so it seems like Mary Scranton must have had some sort of epiphany after the death of her husband, which kind of motivated her to be more involved in the church.
It could be, but she had a lot of influence growing up with a religious father. So either way, she was known to be very committed to ministering to and with Korean women.
So I understand that when she relocated to Korea to follow her missionary work into a different country, she was almost 50 years old.
Right. At that time, it might have been debatable that she was deemed old to be a missionary and traveling to a different country at that age. However, it did not matter.
I see.
Yeah, she felt her calling was to go to Korea.
Kind of like
me.
Maybe even me and other people, right? We're in Korea right now.
Yeah.
We're not
there
Korean.
Was a calling, there was
something
right.
there listening. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I really admire her because regardless, as you said, regardless of her age, she followed her dreams. And in this case, she's definitely someone to be looked up upon and who continues and strives towards a goal no matter where life takes them. So going into Mary Scranton about her journey, at the age of 50, at now 50, people are still working and active, and it's the 50 is like a new active age, but back then it was very different, right? So if we put our position in her shoes, a foreigner going to a different country, would you be willing to take that new journey in life at that age? So at the age of 50, if you were in her shoes, would you take that risk or that journey into a new country?
Yeah, that's really a hard question. Think about it. Yeah. Women in her 50, yeah, it's really hard. I have read many articles and studies that there are thousands of travelers that volunteer abroad over 40, 50, and 60 years. Wow. All with their own unique skills and knowledge, looking for their next challenge in life after their retirement. So the first thing you need to know is that age is not a barrier. In fact, experience and wisdom can be a huge advantage to volunteering abroad, right? So again, there is a quote from the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu. He said, "The journey of 1,000 miles begin with one step." So the big step that Mary Scranton did was brave and adventurous. I think she wanted to go through the journey of coming to Korea after the calling, where she can find her happiness, probably. So again, going back to your question, different time period, different thinking, and also a big step. This is why I think I did. So being old or being young, it's age anyway, right? So I came to Korea and I was really young, to travel alone and living alone and everything. I think being like decided to come and study in Korea. Korea was like far away from me, but age and destination was never a problem to me, So I was ready to face anything throughout my journey. And I can probably say that after every journey ends, the next day a new chapter opens. So I think I never regret anything in my life. And probably if I was in Mary Scranton's shoes, I would still go for it. For sure. Like, because everybody go for a volunteering with UNICEF, with the Red Cross after retirement. So why not? That's a good adventure.
I like that, and I like the quote that you had said. I think that's a really big life lesson that anyone can relate to. And actually, there's also that when you said that, it made me think of something. For any journey, right? The first step is you're halfway there. That's the biggest part of your journey. So if you take that first initial step, that beginning start, you can arguably say you're 50% there, because the other parts of it is just as important, but this is the hardest one. This is the most difficult one to take.
And let me tell you guys, until you take the step, you wouldn't know.
Right, exactly.
Right?
You'll regret it, right?
You will regret, because that's what you wanted to do, but you fear.
You always think about it later.
You fear the failure. This is why you never take the first step. So take the first step.
And actually, when we talk about Mary Scranton leaving her home country, you had touched on it, but can you synthesize her feelings about that, leaving her country for the greater cause or personal cause? How would you discuss about that?
Right. You said home?
Yeah, home. Like leaving your home.
Right. So I will ask you a question.
Yeah, sure.
I know that you're a host, but
ask me.
Is that fine?
Of course.
So how do you define home?
So my personal definition of home is probably where I grew up, where I spent most of my childhood, where I spent beginnings of my making friends and my childhood with my family. So, that would be where I'm from, my hometown, in New Jersey, the USA. Right. So that's my hometown or my home.
So after listening to you, you are connecting yourself to a place you feel comfortable in, maybe surrounded by your family, your friends, your memories, and familiar places, the place that you grew up in, maybe you are more tied to your culture, your language, your religion, maybe if you have your history. There are something that you keep going back into it, right? So I think home, it can be different defining it, because I think home for me has been changed throughout every day, in every day's life.
Oh wow!
I think so. Since I came to Korea, before coming to Korea and after coming to Korea, and right now, I think the definition of home changed a lot. Right now, I think I feel home when I feel comfortable in a place, or when I feel maybe in peace, kinda, when I feel that my achievements or my adventure, that's my home. But this is really philosophical. Probably they look at me like, what? Why
you're so deep
why
into
why
it?
She's like talking like that? Okay, but yeah, let's come back to our question. So you asked me if I sympathize with the feelings of Mary Scranton leaving her home. Let me give you like a plus information regarding Mary Scranton. So Mary Scranton first became aware of the importance of women's missions when she trained in the WFMS, the Women's Foreign Missionary Society. The reason why women has stood in the front of mission field in America has a deep connection to America's history. Which is revolutionary and civil wars. Women began to work in all fields instead of men as they build up a strong sense of identity. Their status became to rise. So it must be hard for Mary to come to a foreign country. So again, she left her home, her comfortable place. She came to Korea. She started to convince people that they need education. So she managed to build a school. Gathering students wasn't easy for her. There was a rumor actually during that time. They said blue-eyed girls eat you alive if you attend their school.
They were viewed as monsters?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
they never seen her before.
I actually found this in one of the historical YouTube somewhere.
Yeah.
And I was really that was really interesting because
surprising.
Why would they say that?
Yeah.
Right? So again, like I think convincing Korean women by Mary Scranton to send their daughters to Ewha Girls School and receive a modern education was really hard mission. As she was perceived as a foreigner, right? Because even though, again, coming back to me, even though I left my home and I feel like this is my second home, maybe other people would perceive me as a foreigner in their own home.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, I can sympathize with her again. So
I kind of like this question and how you describe asking me the definition of home, because everyone has their own experiences, right? So if I had maybe gone to a different country and lived in a different country for as long as you have at that young age, maybe my definition of home would have changed too. But because we have different paths, we have different journeys, we have different definitions of home. So for Mary Scranton as well, if she was here, we can ask her, what is your definition of home? It's very different for everyone in the century, the age, the experiences. So I think that was a really in-depth and interesting conversation we normally would not have.
But probably she was focused more on her mission.
That's correct.
And maybe her way of feeling about what home is maybe wasn't the first thing she would think about,
right? Because
she was only focusing on how to actually make the Korean woman actually come to the Ewha Hakdang and actually take the education.
That's not easy to convince.
But probably she was maybe got a lot of like misunderstanding. Maybe because she's foreigner. Maybe it was people wouldn't trust her that easily because she was like an outsider. But at the end, she got, their trust, and, this is why she's famous right now, right?
And actually, when we get into you, Bushra, as an attending graduate student, how is Mary Scranton and the school itself relevant to you?
Right. Before this question, I actually wanted to ask you, for me too, before attending Ewha, I was wondering why the full name of the school, Ewha Women's University, with the A and S, but not with the E-N apostrophe S.
Okay.
Have you ever wondered about that?
So is Mary Scranton relevant as an attending graduate student at Ewha?
Right. This is a good question, but before that, let me ask you a question. I want to ask you many questions today. So, have you ever wondered why Ewha Women's University is with A and S, but not with E-N apostrophe S?
Okay, so it's singular, A-N, Women's University, not plural, E-N. So I never noticed. Is there an explanation
The
for
first
that?
time I thought it's an OTA.
Before,
so when I came to Korea and I get to know Ewha, I thought, oh, maybe this is an Oda. I didn't, maybe they did like some English mistakes the first time, right? So I get to know later that the reason why Ewha Women's University with A-N-S is that the word women's rather than women's with E-N-S was to emphasize the fact that each student is seen as an individual, not women as a group, but women as an individual. right?
That makes sense.
Right. Going back again to your question, whether attending graduate school was actually relevant to Mary Scranton. Yes, that's right. Again, I'm not sure if you know what's EWA's core values.
I'm curious. I didn't even know they had that. So can you explain it to me and our viewers? Maybe ask me about that.
So let me ask you, do you know what are the core values of EWA Women's University?
No, actually, I have no idea, and I didn't even know they had it. So, can you explain to us and the viewers?
Right. So the first time, actually, before applying to it, usually before you apply to a university, you actually go and see what are the core values of the university that you want to enroll in. Like, I think same as you when you applied for Yonsei.
Yeah, I want to know, what the university's purpose is.
Right. So you actually can relate to, right?
Values.
Okay. So, Alex, let me ask you a question. Do you know the core values of EWA Women's University?
Oh, no, I actually didn't even know they had that kind of sort of thing.
So usually when you apply for university, you actually go check what are the core values so that when you write down your own, like, how you can relate to this school. Right? So you would know, probably for you as well, for Yonsei University, right?
Correct, yeah.
So for me, so this is really new information to me because I obviously didn't know the first time, right? But after I knew, I could relate to it. So let me tell you what are the core values. The first one is Jin. It's actually a Chinese character. Probably it's gonna be open, like here. It's Jin. Jin represents knowledge. Knowledge is exactly what EWA as an academic institution should pursue.
Okay.
And then Sun. Sun is the sun, S-U-N.
S-U-N,
Sun, but it's more like also a Chinese character. So Jin, Sun, Mi, they are actually Chinese characters, but Sun, again, represents goodness. The ultimate goodness is love, which only we as humans possesses. It's our most beautiful, noble, and pure virtue, and is only actualized when shared with others. And finally, Mi represents harmony. It's the artistic sentiment of mankind in pursuit of beauty. The true concept of beauty that EWA seeks is to restore our Creator's image, which is inherent in all human beings, and to maximize the freedom and unique personality bestowed upon each individual. So EWA's goal is to cultivate creative intellectuals who will shape new cultures and lead the world harmoniously through omnidirectional education. So after Jin, Sun, and Mi, after I get to know the core values, which I can relate to my core beliefs and guiding principles in my life, I decided to actually get enrolled to it because I always believe that EWA is so beautiful from outside and also from inside. Even like the architecture.
It's very famous.
Really famous, right?
People just to go there to see it. Yeah,
right.
Beautiful
so
campus.
I know that I talked a lot about the core values, but coming back again to your question, whether like Mary Scranton was relevant in attending as a student at EWA. Actually, I didn't really know Mary Scranton the first time, honestly speaking with you. But of course, her study is actually in the school, but I have never seen it because my department is really far away from her study, so I couldn't see that.
Okay.
However, I get to know her later when I did my study before coming here, and also she's really interesting, but she's really, like, I could relate myself to her. So again, maybe Mary Scranton's and EWA's core values and her clear vision. She had, the vision that I also had, the same vision as her. So probably that's why I get enrolled to it. Not because of Mary Scranton, but maybe because of the core values.
I like it's the Chinese characters and then the translation of that. And to kind of wrap it up a little bit on that, it's knowledge, goodness, and love as...
truth, goodness, and beauty.
Truth, goodness, and beauty.
Yeah.
I think these core values really hit strongly with the students at EWA. So not only is this for, when you're studying and getting your degree and reaching for that goal, this is a life lesson
Right.
that
So
people can understand.
Right. So these core values recognized by all societies in both the East and the West.
Wow.
Right.
All right. So
Right.
this carries a lot of value and history behind, why this university was brought up specifically and targeted for higher women's education.
Right.
So it's very important in these core values. And going into that, Ihua School to Ihua University and the history of Ihua School, we want to talk about the creation as well as the development. And for Mary Scranton, as a foreigner and as a woman, it must not have been easy during that time period in the 1800s. How did she first establish this first modern education institution for women?
Right. Moving on the history of Ihua School and the creation as well as development. For Mary Scranton, as a foreigner and as a woman, it must not have been easy during that time period in.
So how did she first establish the first modern educational institution for women?
When Scranton arrived to Korea, she quickly realized the plight of Korean women and their Confucian tradition. She sought to believe that education would change their lives and the whole Korean society.
I see. So when, as a missionary, she first observed the Korean woman, and that's how she came to that idea.
Right. So Scranton founded Ihua with the purpose to give equal educational rights to underprivileged Korean women. Though she did not speak Korean and there were anti-foreign and anti-Christian sentiments, she and her co-workers overcome all the difficulties and first established Ihua Hakdang in 1886.
Yeah, I can't imagine. It is probably very difficult, especially the language barrier.
Yeah, it was very difficult, but it had to start somewhere. Did you know that at the beginning there was only one student?
Just one student? That's just like one-on-one tutoring.
Right.
Then you have the classroom all to yourself in the beginning.
Eventually, the school gained momentum and expanded. Actually, it even became the country's first educational institution, consisting of an elementary, middle, high school, and university.
That's really impressive because, it started as a women's institute education system. And it was before the men's education institute. So it had all those elements. So then from age 5 to 22, someone can say they attended Ihua for more than a decade.
Right, yeah, that I think so too. I also want to share another interesting fact. The name Ihua was given by King Gojong in 1887, which translates into pear blossom. The pear blossom was associated with purity and brightness.
I see. So maybe King Kojong must have really liked Ihua to give such a very nice name.
With a good name from the start, the school started with only one subject, English.
Okay, well, that makes sense because since Scranton is a native English speaker from America.
Yes, so the school mainly taught English and then later about the Bible. As time passed, the school expanded into more subjects as they gained more students.
I really liked listening about how the development and history of Ihua Hakdang becoming, Ihua University. So, we'll put us back in not Scranton's shoes, but back in that time period again as a student. It's very different from now. So as women as we are in society, would you attend the school being a pioneer in women's education?
Right. Regardless of even though the century time period is really different from it's 2021 now, it sounds really attractive and adventurous. I would attend, learn more, and break the lag, take action, and be a leader.
Yeah.
It won't
just
be
like
easy.
You are now.
It won't be that easy again, right? It wasn't easy for Mary Scranton, so probably wouldn't be that easy for me. But it will be surely be a great journey for me. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it absolutely does.
Right.
So, during that time period, Korean women may have experienced some prejudice about women in educational institutes. So, how would you have dealt with that back to then?
This is really heavy question, kind of,
yeah.
and I this is really sensitive too, and
Right.
I will give you like a really long answer for that if you're fine, and also for our viewers,
Yeah, we
if
want to
that's
know the
fine,
opinions.
right?
Yeah.
So education has always been an important topic in every growing society.
Right.
During the Renaissance period, being educated was beginning to be necessary. Men and women have been treated differently since the beginning of time. Many of the difference being negative toward women. Education in the Renaissance period is no exception to these differences. Women have suffered greatly from the stereotypes set by society and have missed out on great opportunities simply because it was unwanted by men. Um, and um, and then women's role in society is to carry a child,
Right.
preferably a male, and raise that child into a strong, educated individual that will contribute positively to society in some way. However, unfortunately,
Right.
again, women traditionally run the household,
Yes.
bore, reared the children, were nurses, mothers, wives, neighbors, friends, and teachers. So during period of war, women were drafted into the labor market to undertake work that had been traditionally restricted to men. More than 6 million women took wartime jobs in factories. 3 million volunteered with the Red Cross, and over 2,000 served in the military.
That's a lot, yeah.
So this is again can explain that women's role in the society has been changed over the years, and it's getting better
Right.
in our
I
times.
think it's disparity versus that, it's obviously very sensitive, but it's gotten a lot better.
It's gone a lot better, and I would say that women during the wartime also there were nurses who actually saved a lot of
Right.
a lot
Without
of
them.
armies, right? And there are spies women too.
Of
They
course.
help their country
They're
too.
the ones that can hide the most secrets, right?
Right.
Like we can.
They're women who fought the war too, right?
Exactly.
So, to answer your question again, even though women faced a lot of prejudice, but still, actually,
Right.
women can actually put,
And
can
she
do
made it possible, to
She
be
did.
honest. She went through all those struggles, other people's opinions.
And I told you
Yes.
what they were talking about her.
Yeah, she
right?
eats children or she eats people. Obviously, it's not true. They made up those things because they were scared of something different, right?
Right.
And she was the one breaking that out, allowing opportunities for Korean women to get education
Right.
because she, in her vision, they were equal, right? And it was just in that society at that time period. They didn't even think about that.
Right,
Women belong in the kitchen kind of thing. So it's amazing. That journey of women's role in society.
Yeah, exactly.
So moving on, because of Mary Scranton, Korean women are, like we talked about, are able to have this same quality of education in the present day. So, do you think women in society still have that disadvantage? And what are maybe notable women comparable to Mary Scranton, which has paved the role for equal opportunities for women?
Right. So again, this is also a heavy question. Your questions are really good.
We want to get deep.
Right. This is really deep. So again, for education, I believe that there's still inequality until this moment.
Okay.
I believe so.
Yes.
But even if women got like a really high education, still they unfortunately again women around the world, they still face few biggest problems, such as sexism, racism, economic inequality, access to equality in business market, the lack of respect for caregiving, really a lot, like increasing rates of maternity, morality. So I believe we'll need to work more on that,
right.
But it's changing, and I believe that a lot of international organization and associations, they're working so hard to make a change. Does that answer your question?
I think that it's not going to change overnight. This is something that has prolonged women's disparity and equality. So it's a journey, right? And the only thing we can do is just bring awareness of it. And from back in this 1800th century, Mary Scranton was the was one of the stepping stones for
Right.
women's equality,
Mhm.
first in education and later built up to,
Right.
you know, what you said, the Red Cross
Mhm.
and jobs, showing that, you know, equality should have been from the beginning. And this
Right.
is a journey that we
Right.
have to
It's
complete.
a journey. Mm-hmm.
So circling back, you know, for the education system for women has truly advanced and developed since then. So as a graduate student, you know, how do you think, obviously you weren't there back then, but how do you think Ewha University has changed from being Ewha Hakdan, so, you know, 1800 to the current 21st century?
So from 86 to
To its
2021.
founding, yeah.
All right, so it had changed a lot. Since then, from only teaching English
Right.
and the Bible to 32 departments, including 10 basic medical science departments and 22 clinical medicine departments. The resulted in 21,515, including college and graduate school enrolled students, and 241,861.
That is so many.
It's a huge
Yeah.
numbers.
Right.
So obviously it changed a lot. Obviously.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, and the development is, you know, from back then till now, it's
It's
increased
huge.
a lot, and that's
Yeah.
why it's so prestigious.
A lot
right?
of numbers. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
But
Like,
a
I
lot
didn't have.
no, it's okay.
Yeah.
But a lot of alumni, famous alumni, and really a very historical
Mhm.
background.
Right.
And since we're talking about the past and the present, you know, what is the future for Ewha?
For now, I believe Ewha it's already a multicultural place to study in, but I believe in the future will be even brighter than that. Right. I think it's a women university, but I could see also men
It's possible.
there
Yeah, why not?
as an
Yeah.
exchange student.
Sure.
It's not familiar, but I get to know a lot of people from men. Like, should I say men? This is really generous. I had many friends coming from other countries as an
Okay.
exchange students, and they're not women like
I
us.
see,
So
I see.
it's really good experience. I think in the near future, Ewha will have not only a multicultural place, but also men can actually
Right,
studying in
right.
it. Maybe I don't know.
I
Like,
think that anything's possible.
Anything
right,
is
in the
possible,
future. So
right.
it's great to know that, you know, for Ewha, they have holding all these core values and
Mhm.
being able to put it and into the future.
right.
So, man, we just talked so much about
yeah.
the past, the present,
I talked
the
a
future.
lot. I'm so sorry
I think
about
it was
that.
really great. It was a really interesting topic, starting with Mary Scranton, then her founding of Ewha University, the women's development in education in Korea and in the world, to the current Ewha University, this journey. So again, Boshra, as a graduate student at Ewha Women's University, thank you for taking your time out and kind of joining us on this
Thank
topic.
you for having me. It was fun time to talk about especially education topic.
How did you feel about
I
this?
feel so great. I feel
Good.
like so proud too, and I
Yeah.
hope I can be here again. But I don't know. I'm sure
Well,
about that.
you will continue working on this project and winning more with
right.
us.
And I also wanted to say one last thing for who actually are watching this. If you have something in your mind and you wanted to do it, remember, take the first step, because the first step is the most important step. Don't fear the way, because what's important is the journey, not the destination.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And I think we can really conclude with that saying and our first episode of part 3, Human Library on Mary Scranton. So it was a pleasure and honor to have our team member today to discuss about this hero who really paved the path for Korean women in education. So make sure to catch our next episode of Migu Melt into Korea with us on the Human Library series next week. See you then. Bye. Bye.